Thank you for joining Wars of the Roses as we continue with part 2 of The Origin of Freemasonry and Knights Templar by John Bennett. Freemasonry. The true history of Freemasonry is much in its character like the history of a nation. It has its historic and its prehistoric era. In its historic era, the institution can be regularly traced through its various antecedent associations, similar in design and organization, to a comparatively remote period. Its connection with these associations can be rationally established by authentic documents and by other evidence which no historian would reject. For the prehistoric era, that which connects it with the mysteries of the pagan world and with the old priest of Eleusis of Samothrace or of Syria. Let us honestly say that we no longer treat of Freemasonry under its present organization, which we know did not exist in those days, but of as science peculiar and peculiar only to the mysteries and to Freemasonry, a science which we may call Masonic symbolism and which constituted the heart-blood of the ancient and the modern institutions and gave to them, while presenting a dissimilarity of form, an identity of spirit, in connecting and tracing the germ of Freemasonry in those prehistoric days. Although guided by no documents and no authentic spoken or written narratives on which to rely, we find fossil thoughts embalmed in those ancient intellects, precisely like the living ones which crop out in modern masonry and which, like the fossil shells and fishes of the old physical formations of the earth, show by their resemblance to living species the graduated connection of the past with the present. Every human institution is subject to great and numerous variations. The different aspects under which they appear and the principles by which they are governed depend on the advance of civilization, the nature of the protecting government, and the peculiar habits and opinions of the members themselves. Before learning was advanced, and when the art of printing was unknown, the discoveries in the arts and sciences must of necessity have been known to but a few individuals. The pursuit of science was a secondary matter, and questions of philosophy were solely the prerogative of priestcraft. Agriculture was the grand pursuit of life, but architecture soon, in the natural order of things, arose as a science and human skill was called into play. The triumph of mind over matter was the great feat of the first architects, who were also the first natural philosophers. There is no speculation in the statement that those formed themselves into an association for improvement at an early date. Their architectural monuments, preceding the authentic records of history, are with us to this day, and tradition informs us that this union of scientific men differed from the Freemasons of today in little more than in name. The arts and sciences were cultivated in Egypt and the adjacent countries in Asia, while all other nations were involved in ignorance. Of these sciences, astronomy, geometry, and architecture took the first rank. Freemasonry not only presents the appearance of a speculative science based on an operative art, but also significantly exhibits itself as the symbolic expression of a religious idea. In other and plainer words, we see in it the important lesson of eternal life, taught by a legend, which, whether true or false, is used in Masonry as a symbol and allegory. But whence came this legend? Did all lineal sources have this legend? The evidence is that they did. Not indeed the same legend, not the same personage as its hero, not the same details, but a legend with the same spirit and design. A legend funeral in character, celebrating death and resurrection, solemnized in lamentations and terminating in joy. We cannot correctly understand the history of the nations of antiquity, much less their theology, philosophy, science, or ethics, without knowledge of their societies. Some of the grandest ideals, those which have had the greatest influence on human progress, were born amid mystic symbols. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to share, like, subscribe, and comment. And if you can, please consider donating to Wars of the Rosies. Links to PayPal and Patreon are in the description. Thank you so very much.